certainly hope you dance as well as you dress.
There's only one way to find out.
Hey everyone, we just got out of Argyle. Oh, what an experience. The third act of this movie, it's a trip. I'm gonna start with that. All right, we're gonna talk about this and I'm gonna somehow try to avoid spoilers. There's a lot of things you could spoil in this movie, to be fair to the movie. But as I said in my short on this one, I'm gonna start off with, I think the biggest thing, my biggest takeaway from it, which, wow, this is a dumb movie. This movie is like really dumb. If you like dumb movies, then I think you'll have fun with this, but it's really dumb. Like, how do I put this into words even? It's really just does a lot of things that are very extra, and I think to some people will be cringe. So the basic idea of the film, which I'm sure you've gathered from the trailer, is that Argyle is a secret agent that this woman, Ellie Conway, writes about, and then she ends up getting kind of like pulled into a spy adventure herself, because the books that she's writing seem to be based on real life. There's actually a pretty good explanation for that in the movie, and that part I did like. All in all, I actually really liked a lot of the twists that they put in this movie, and the script is interesting, because I feel like at times the script is terrible, and at times the script is actually pretty good. I think the overall concept for the film is better than the film itself, and that it's interesting because this also feels like a really big movie, but at the same time, I think it's important that we remember this is a movie that originally was made, you know, by Apple just for Apple TV, right? And then I think because everyone really loved the trailer so much, it kind of pushed it to be released to theaters. I don't know if that was a good idea. That's what I'm gonna say, because I think this push may have backfired. When we checked the reviews before going to the movie, the audience score was at 16%. The critic score was at 37%. And I would say for me, I don't know if this movie is deserving of 16%. That feels like really harsh, because there is some stuff in this movie that was done well. I do think the acting was actually done really well. Everyone really committed, even when things were really dumb. And I will say this, Bryce Dallas Howard could make me care about like anything. Like, I could watch that woman just like meticulously organize small pieces of cloth by length for a whole film, and I would find that interesting, I think. She's just so good in everything I see her in, and it was a delight to watch her in this. And I will say, I think without Bryce Dallas Howard, I don't think this movie would be as enjoyable. It might not even be watchable, but overall, I do think everyone that's in the movie did a really good job with what they had. The problem is what they had, which, like I said, is just ridiculous at moments, and like really ridiculous. And the other thing is that it's not a very rich world, Argyle. It feels kind of cookie cutter at parts, and the whole third act of the film, I think, could have also been really condensed. It runs a bit long. I would say this movie would be better. It's like 2 hours, right? It's like 2 hours or just over 2 hours. And I would say you could actually probably do this movie better in 90 minutes and maybe scale it back, because it felt like they had a budget. I don't know what the budget for this movie was, so I'm just ballparking based on what I'm seeing here. But it feels like the budget was medium size, and they used it to do some things really well. There's definitely stuff where they went on location and shot stuff, and it looks good, the locations, but it also looks like they didn't have money to pay extras to fill spaces. There's stuff that feels empty, and so that is where it's kind of weird. The action in this movie, so it is, you know, a spy movie, action vibes. I would say overall, I felt like the action was good, but it didn't like blow my socks off or anything like that. There are some sequences that are really dumb and fun that are action sequences. However, that being said, it didn't blow my socks off because almost how ridiculous those scenes are kind of limits, I don't know, how much I could take them seriously, I guess. The only thing that allowed me to take stuff seriously in this movie is the actor's commitment. And the other thing is that some of the spy tech and stuff just looks cheap as well. So that's the other thing. It's like, that's where I'm like, why wouldn't you just spend more money to like make this design a little bit more, like have a little bit more depth? There's parts where you see people's like bios, like, you know how you get like, this is this spy and this is like what they do. And it just looked like literally I could make something better in Photoshop. You know what I mean? And you don't want it to look like that when it's a film that's being released in theaters and is up on a big screen. So, yeah. However, if you like dumb movies and you like watching those and you think that's a fun time, then I think you will like Argyle. I personally still enjoyed the film. I just felt like it was ridiculous. Oh, you know what else we should talk about? The music. So we talked about the action, we talked about the acting, we talked about the overall story, the scripts. Let's talk about the sound. The sound was the worst part of this movie for me. Sound design wasn't too bad, but sound mixing, not very good. And the actual music for the film that they picked was just weird. Like, I was like, could you not get like some more topical music at times? Like, it was just a weird choices. And then when the songs did come in, it was just like went from 0 to like 110. So there was no gradual build, no. In terms of like the music that was underneath scenes, that stuff was pretty okay. Nothing to write home about though. Like, that's the thing. Like, any of the music that even was decent that was used, like in terms of scores, felt like just kind of like all right, like it was generic. It served its purpose. But then the song choices that they had to play over certain scenes was like, huh? Why this song? And it just felt jarring at times with what was happening. Like, it didn't quite fit to me. And then I guess the other thing we should talk about is just the effects in the film, which, as I said, they did do some stuff like on location and some stuff that was real. And that stuff probably looked the best. Like, whether they were like doing a stunt like with the actors, or they had doubles and they were on a set, or they were on a location. But when they were like, let's like put some explosions in here, some of that stuff looked really bad. Like, it definitely looked like a movie that was made for streaming, you know? Yeah. The other thing about Argyle is there's clearly a book that was released before the movie came out that everyone thought Taylor Swift wrote for some reason. Yeah, I don't know why. Someone started this rumor and the internet just took it to like the next level. And I even listened to the audiobook. Thank you as well, Michael, for getting the audiobook for me off my Amazon wish list. I appreciate it. I did listen to the entire audiobook before I went to see the movie, and all of the reviews for it were just people being like, I heard Taylor Swift wrote this. I'm gonna tell you something. Taylor Swift did not ghostwrite this book. I don't think so. No way. I don't believe it, and I think that theory is really ridiculous. But I digress. The book itself is all right. In moments, it's very exciting, and it's like a good page turner if you're into like spy books and novels and that type of vibe. But at other times, it's mundane and boring, and you're just waiting to get to the next bit. And overall, the narration for the book is rough. I'll talk more about that in my full review, but the book is actually about the origin story of Argyle, who is the main character of Ellie Conway's books. And the book is then supposed to be written by Ellie Conway. Obviously, it's been ghost written because Ellie Conway is not a real person. So you don't need to read it at all to watch this movie. In fact, I would say just skip it because it's just all right. It's just okay. A lot of people also thought that the book was like inspired this movie or something like that. No, it's not even about this movie. It's like the first book in the series that Ellie writes, which is in the movie. So it's very meta, and it's not that good. However, I did listen to all of it, and it was long. It was like 15 hours. Parts of it are better than the other parts. I think this movie overall, I gotta give it some props for marketing, because I feel like the marketing for this film was really smart, and they really leaned into the whole Taylor Swift thing, which I think is gonna get butts in seats, and they hyped it, and the trailer looked great, but the trailer looked better than the actual movie. And even though the concept is cool, the execution wasn't very good. So I think overall, I have to give this one... How many cats? What is that cat? A Scottish fold cat? I think so. Is that what that is? What is a Scottish fold cat? It's got folded ears. I think it's a Scottish fold cat. So we're gonna give it, out of the cat in the movie, Alfie, I'm gonna say 2 out of 5. I'm gonna say 2 out of 5. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. It's fun in parts, and if you like dumb movies, I think you'll enjoy it. So should you still go see it? I don't know, do you like dumb movies? That's what you have to ask yourself. And do you really like Bryce Dallas Howard? And if the answer to that is yes, then yeah, I think you should see it. All right, well, that's it for me. Sorry, Argyle, you know, you did something, and I watched it. All right, I'll see you next time, friends. Until then, stay nerdy.